Alrighty, continuing examples with finding the inverse of a function. Still, by the time we are done, you will know how to find the derivative of an inverse. All right, some more problems. Number 5, a function f and its derivative take on values as shown in the table. If g is the inverse of f, find g prime of 6. Well, first of all, you'll notice it's asking you to find g prime. No information about g is given at all, so we need to deal with that in just a second. The biggest thing is that it tells us that g is an inverse. So we definitely want to go ahead and say that g prime of 6 is going to be the same thing as the inverse of the f at 6. Okay, so one thing I'm also going to put up here, g prime of 6 is an inverse, and this is going to be 6 comma something, so just hang with me just with that in a second. I'm going to go ahead and write the formula. I'm going to have 1 over f prime f inverse of 6, just again taking it from the formula. Okay, so the biggest thing is f is an inverse, and this is an x value on the inverse. So on the original function now, it is going to be a y value, all right? So if I look at where on this original function is a y value having 6, it's right here when x is equal to 2. Okay, so if I go to write my point over here, if on the original function the point is 2, 6, on my inverse it's going to be 6, 2. So the inverse at 6 is 2. So we're going to have 1 over f prime of 2. Okay, now we're just going back to the original function. We're no longer on the inverse anymore. So now I'm going to go ahead and find the value of f prime of 2. So at x equals 2, my derivative is equal to 1/3. So this is now going to be 1 divided by 1/3. And if you take 1 divided by 1/3, that will equal 3. So g prime of 6 will equal 3. Okay, number 6, it says the functions g and h are inverses. Select values are once again shown in the table. Find h prime of 1. Please pause the video, try this one on your own, come back, and you can see how you did. All right, welcome back. We're looking for h prime of 1. Again, notice there is a little bit given about h, but mostly we're given things about g, so we do again want to establish that relationship. H prime of 1, since h and g are inverses, is going to equal the derivative of the inverse of g at 1. Okay, and then I'm just going to use the formula that we've been using all along. It's going to be g prime, g inverse of 1. Okay, now I'm going to come up here and do a little light work here. I know that since 1 is an x value on the inverse, in the original function, and actually notice my formula is all in g's right now. I'm not even going to look at h because that will just confuse me. Okay, so on the original function, we know that 1 is going to be the y value. So if I look on the original function, which is g, where do we have a y value of 1? And it's going to be at x equals 3. Okay, so 3, 1 is on my original function. 1, 3 is on my inverse. So the inverse at 1 is 3. So I'm going to have 1 over g prime of 3. Now we just get to look at the original function. We're done looking at the inverse. So g prime of 3, when x is equal to 3, what is g prime? G prime is equal to negative 1/4. So I'm going to have 1 over negative 1/4. 1 divided by 1/4 is 4. And of course, a positive divided by negative is a negative. So you should get negative 4. All right, number 7. Let f be a differentiable function set f of 4 is equal to 16, f prime of 4 is equal to negative 7, f prime of 7 is equal to negative 1, and f of 7 is equal to 4. The function g is differentiable, and g of x is equal to f inverse of x for all x. Write an equation of the tangent line to the graph of g of x is at x equals 4. Okay, so again, they're asking us to find an equation of the tangent line for g. Okay, notice I'm only given information about f, so again, I'm going to try to establish that relationship, which they actually showed me right here. So I know that g, they're inverses. The first thing that I'm going to be looking for is, I'm going to write this, so if g of x is equal to f inverse of x, g prime of x will equal to the derivative of the inverse of x. That will help me in just a minute. Okay, so if I'm looking for an equation of a tangent line of g of x at x equals 4, I need to find the slope, which is going to be g prime, and then I need to find a point. And if I find the point, then I'm going to be all set. And they already told me that x is equal to 4, so I'm just going to need to go find the y value in just a minute. Okay, so I'm going to write this formula. So the first thing that I want to find is the slope at 4. Okay, I'm going to write my formula like we've been doing for all the other problems. 1 over f prime f inverse of 4. Okay, now I need to come think about this a second. Please remember that g is the inverse. So if 4 is x on the inverse, then on the original function, it's going to say something comma 4. So looking at these values right here, the one that has a y value of 4 is f of 7 equals 4. So we're going to have 7, 4 is the point for this one. So I know 7, 4 turns into 4, 7 on the inverse. So the inverse at 4 is 7. So we have 1 over f prime of 7. Okay, now I need to know f prime of 7. And very nicely, they told me that f prime of 7 was equal to negative 1. So this is now is going to be 1 divided by negative 1, which is negative 1. What did that find for us? It found us the slope. We also have a point. So all I need to do is just plug stuff in. So I'm going to get y minus y equals mx minus x. And then I am 100% done with that. Okay, I'm going to let you go ahead. Let me read number 8. The functions g and h are inverses. Select values are shown in the table. Write an equation of the tangent line to the graph of h at x equals 3, right? Hopefully you're going to pause the video at this point in time. You're going to give it a whirl on your own and then come back and see how you did. Alrighty, welcome back. First thing that we want to do is let's establish that relationship between h and g. Again, I'm just going to cross out my information about h because more information is given about g. So let's just establish that relationship. They are inverses. So I know that h prime of x is equal to, oh, there's no f in the problem, it's just g's. The inverse, the derivative of the inverse of g. Okay, two things I need to find again are the slope and the x and the x and y value. So my slope, remember, is going to be h prime, and my point is going to be, since it's told me that x equals 3, it's going to be 3 something. Okay, I'm going to come over here and just rewrite my formula. The derivative of the inverse of g inverse is 1 over g prime g inverse of x. And on this problem, because my x is 3, I'm looking to find it at 3. So I have 1 over g prime g inverse at 3. Okay. Once again, please remember that this is my inverse point. So on my original function, it's going to be something comma 3. So I'm going to be looking at my table. Where does the y value equal 3? It's right here. And that's when x equals 4. So 4, 3 will be a point, the normal point. So on my inverse, it's going to be 3, 4. So the inverse at 3 is 4. So now I have 1 over g prime of 4. So now I just need to find g prime of 4. So now I'm going to go to when x equals 4, my g prime is equal to 1/2. So we have 1 divided by 1/2. 1 divided by 1/2 we know is 2. That just established the slope for me. I already have my point up here. So now all I need to do is plug in. So I'm going to get y minus 4 is equal to 2, x minus 3. And that would be the equation of my tangent line. So hopefully now you have a good idea how to find the derivative of an inverse function.